Hey YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. In this episode I'm going to teach you guys how to make some dummy rounds at home. Now you can always go to the store and buy these in any caliber that you like, but I figured I'd make a video to teach you guys how to make these at home on your spare time or as a little weekend project. So stay tuned and let's get started.
I'll see you again in the dark side.
Alright, so the first step to make our dummies is selecting the caliber that you want to make your dummy round. So this process will work with any caliber. I'm starting off with a 9mm, and the first thing in the process is you want to get the overall length of your cartridge with the bullet seated on it. Reason being, when we pull the bullet from the casing, we're going to dump the powder, take out the primer, deactivate it. We're going to drill a hole on the side so that way we can identify our dummies, even though you should have your dummies in a separate pile. Never mix your dummies with live rounds because you don't want any mistakes to happen. So that being said, just as a little extra insurance, we're going to drill a little hole on the side so that way we can easily identify our dummies. Okay? So basically, we want to take our overall length, write it down, so when we reseat the bullet, we have the same depth on the round as we had previous to pulling it. Okay, so we're gonna achieve this by using a dial caliper. Okay, I'm using a digital one, it's easier for me, but basically you just want to get the overall length of the cartridge. Okay, in my case we're at 149, 150. Okay, so we're gonna write that down so we don't forget, and now we move on to the next step, removing our projectile from the case. So in this next step, we are going to be using a bullet puller to extract the projectile from the case. Basically, you just unscrew the back of the bullet puller, get the little collet, insert the round, put it into the chamber, and tighten the screw cap tightly around the back. Okay, we're gonna take this outside, whack it against the cement a couple times. It should bring the projectile out of the case, dump the powder in there, have everything contained, and we'll go on to the next step in our little project. Alright, so we're just gonna give it a good whack and hopefully it comes out on the first shot. There it is. First shot. Remove the projectile and powders at the bottom of the container. Alright, so now we're going to use our paper to pretty much keep the mess controlled. Alright, because there is powder in there. And we are going to remove our casing, as you can see, clean. And we are going to dump our powder and our projectile out on the paper. There we go. Alright, and let's separate our projectile. Alright, so next we're going to remove our primer from the back of the case. You have a couple options. You can squirt some WD-40 in the back. The oil will basically deactivate the primer so it cannot go off. I mean, for the most part, if you're careful, it shouldn't go off, but if you want to be safer, go ahead and squirt a little bit of oil in there. Oil will get into the primer cap and basically will make it a dud. So I got my armorer's block here, and we're gonna use a punch and we're gonna lightly tap it out of its corresponding hole with a little 2-ounce hammer. So okay, just push it out. And our pocket is empty, our primer is out, and let's move on to our next step. Alright, so this next step is optional. You can leave the back of the primer pocket empty, or if you like, you can hack off a piece of eraser or rubber with a X-Acto knife and pretty much cut it to shape to basically glue it on the inside of your primer pocket. All right, and this is what it looks like once you fill in the primer pocket with a piece of rubber. Again, this is optional. You don't have to do this, but to me, it's one of those things that I rather have it there just for peace of mind that I know my striker or my firing pin is striking a piece of rubber rather than an empty void. Again, personal preference, but this is the results of what it should look like once you fill it in. All right, so now I'm gonna drill a hole on the side of my case just to make it easier to identify the dummy round, even though you should be keeping your dummy rounds away from your live rounds. Okay, keep them in a separate pile, keep them in a separate baggie, whatever you want to do, but never mix your dummies with live ammunition. All right, so to do this, I'm gonna just get a regular punch and insert it into my casing just to give it some support, and I'm gonna use a center punch just to give it a little help with the drill bit so it doesn't walk on me. Alright, so center punch it, and I'm gonna use the smallest drill bit that I have. I'm gonna walk it up to a an eighth drill bit, just to get a nice little hole on there. So basically start off with your smallest drill bit and work your way up to a bigger hole. Alright, so I've drilled my first little pilot hole, and now I'm gonna step up the drill bit. I'm going straight to the eighth. I think it shouldn't walk on me, so let's go ahead and give this a try. Alright, so there's our hole. This should help us identify our dummies a little bit easier. Again, I know I've said this a couple times in the video, but keep your dummies away from live ammunition. Alright, we don't want any mistakes to happen. Alright, so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to reseat our bullet onto the casing. Alright, so we're just going to start it off by inserting it into the case. We're going to get a armor's block for some support and a plastic hammer. Alright, we're going to tap it in, and we're going to use our calipers to take our measurement. Alright, so once you tap it in, hopefully to the original dimensions that you took down earlier. In my case, 1.149. I'm at 1.150. I'm happy with that. Alright, basically once you've reseated it to the dimension that you wanted, you can go off logbooks for reloading, or the method that I did of taking the measurements prior to pulling the bullet. You're basically done. You have a dummy round. You can make as many as you need. This is great for training, great for dry firing, many uses. You can always buy them or use the methods that I showed today to make your own, and it's a nice little project to do. Alright, so until next time, thank you guys for watching. I've put a link to all the tools that we used in this video down below. If you haven't done so, please subscribe and keep up to date with all the videos that we release. Until next time, thanks for watching.